weatronic.
Here we are, here we go, and we start for the special workshop on glider systems today. Have a nice evening to everybody from my side.
Yeah, and from my side too. Yes, the sound today should be much better than last week, and also the sound, the picture, and so on. Okay, first of all, we saw the question, we think most important question in the chat regarding the insolvency of weatronic. What we can say at the moment is that it was made a claim to start insolvency proceedings. The business is going on as usual.
Yes, everything like usual.
The service and all the rest. So
also the workshops are going on.
Yes, for sure.
Like we see today.
And as soon we get further information, we will publish all the news.
Yeah, we will publish all the news as soon as we got one.
Yes. Okay, but now we will start our workshop because we have a special glider workshop and we have great functions, as you will see during the workshop. Make the next picture, please.
Yeah, the next screen on the presentation. Yeah, this is the two guys you probably already know.
Yeah, the same guys.
This is me and my colleague Ralf Hartmann, and we are guiding you through this evening or morning or noon or whatever time it is on the place you are right now.
Wherever you are. Okay, let's start. Let's practice special workshop glider, and the first thing that we will do is to share our screen.
Yes.
So that we will see the display of our radio. Okay, we will start sharing the screen. And we are always funny, Mike. Okay, screen sharing. We will join the display. And here. Okay. And
yeah, here
we are. Zap. Yes, perfect. Okay. Then we can start.
So yeah, here you see the Caldera S again, the model name and also the model on the table here. And there is also some special stuff for today. And at first we will take care about some basic things we will use for gliders, or which is often recommended. And after this basic setup, we will take a look at the flight modes and the flight mode setting. This is also like I, as program designer, would recommend to go on in practice. So you first set up your model completely. You do all the adjustments like mixers, curves, whatever. Also, you can do the maiden flight, or you even should do the maiden flight. And after this, you will start with the flight mode setup, just to do all the fine tuning. So for the first thing, we have our caldera here. It is programmed with the model wizard, like you saw a few workshops ago, and we have the main.
Stop. We have to share the screen again.
Okay,
because
the same issue like sometimes
Like,
that
yeah,
the
the last time.
screen sharing stops.
Yeah.
So here we go again.
And okay.
So yes,
Yeah, now
we
it
have the
should be
caldera
perfect,
here.
yes. Okay. Now we can go on.
And it's programmed with a wizard, like I already said, and the main thing we are always talking about is the functions menu. So you have the functions like rudder, aileron, flap, butterfly, elevator, and the servos accordingly. And I did all the servo settings here, for example, for the aileron. There's the servo settings for left and right direction, and also you can see the servos moving here according to my setup. So I have all the 4 servos on the wing moving according to the aileron function. And it's the same with butterfly, elevator, and so on. And one thing that is required sometimes is the setup of aileron differential. We have it here. So you go to the function setup and you have here the parameter flex differential, and here you can adjust the differential. So the ailerons are moving downwards, not so much like upwards. And when you use the butterfly, you usually have the problem that aileron controlling is not so good due to the slow flight when you use butterfly, and also due to the already huge deflection on the flaps. And therefore you want to reduce the differential when using the butterfly, which is very easy. So here we have 65% usual, and I want to influence the differential with my butterfly function, which is on the left stick. So I go here for the flex control, and now I choose my left stick, which is controlling the butterfly. And now I have in the upper position, like you see here, I put in my first 65% of differential. Was it plus or minus? So here we go. That's what I remember. It was plus 65. So here we have the plus 65. So in neutral position of the butterfly, the differential stays the same. And now I take the butterfly and put it out completely. Here I want to have 0. So now you see the deflection on the aileron. Out right here you see is much bigger. And on half butterfly I also want to have a little bit less differential, like 31%. So then the deflection is already big enough. So that's a very easy way to adjust the differential of the ailerons with the butterfly, and you can keep setting it up like you are used to. When you take out the butterfly, there is less differential and the aileron flaps moving downward quite a lot, so you still have enough maneuverability. So far for the first step. The other steps would be, for example, the setup of mixers. This you also should do before setting up flight modes, at least in a rough setup, due to the fact that when you later on create the flight modes, it will always copy normal or copy another flight mode you like, and if you have a proper setup already from the beginning, it will save you a lot of time adjusting all the values throughout all the flight modes. So here we have the combi mix, which is a mix from aileron to rudder, and we will just set it up roughly here, 24, a little bit more. So with aileron right, there comes also rudder right. And the same we do for the other mixers. They are already assigned by the wizard, so there already is the mixer created, and I just have to go down here to the gain and adjust the proper value. So here we go, aileron to flaps, looking fine like this, and also we have the brake compensation, butterfly to elevator. Take out the butterfly, adjust the gain, wrong direction, right direction, whatever you need. So here we go. Also, you can use flex control here if you like to adjust it during maiden flight if you're not sure about the value, which probably can make the first landing much more easier and safer. So after adjusting all the values, everything is prepared for the flight modes. And before we start with the flight modes, we will make a little example of special use with our system. Some of you guys using up and go motor in your gliders, and you want to control during start from the ground the power of the motor like you're used to from motor flying with the throttle stick, and when you're up in the air or when you come down for landing you want to have the butterfly function on the throttle stick. And how to do this we will show on a little example. So we have a very nice little up and go retract here. So, and probably you remember from our first workshop that we had little problems with Ralph's hair because of the huge wind the motor generates. So we have the motor here represented by the light in the background, which is 50 watt 12 volt light bulb controlled by our switch 4,
as you see.
Yeah, here we go. We have the switch 4 here, and you can turn on the light by the switch. So yeah, the first thing, there are two possible ways of the up and go control. One is, for example, when you have internal up and go control, which combines the functionality of taking the up and go out of the fuselage and bringing it back, and also the motor power control in one unit. For example, the Schambach AFT up and goes provide such electronic. There you have from minus 100% to 0% on the servo. So showing here from minus 100 to 0, the up and go comes out. And from 0 to plus 100%, you can control the power of the motor. If it is not like this, for example, like we have it here on our table, you have one servo for the up and go and one external ESC speed controller, whatever you want to call it, for the motor. Then you have here really the up and go. And we adjust it in a way that the center position here, so taking care, is the complete upright position. So the up and go is out of the fuselage completely. A little bit too much. Like this, it's looking good.
And it works.
Yes, you also can turn the propeller. And the limit here is showing the completely inside position. So we are retracting our up and go on the downward side. So inside completely, for example, and oops, here we go. The upper limit is exactly the same like the center position. So we have some kind of one-way function. It only works from center to minus, and there is no way from center to plus, as the center and the limit is the same. And for the motor, we will do it similar. So the center is going to minus 100. So center to lower position is no travel, and minus to plus 100 is then complete power regulation. So here we go. Yes, I want to recalculate it. And we have our functions here, and we have a function motor here already created by the wizard, and I will give it a new name because it's more than this. It's up and go plus motor, and I want to use a 3-position switch, and from lower position to middle position the up and go comes out, and from middle position to forward position the engine works. So here you see the motor already from 0 to plus 200, and also the output here. And we will take a look on the function as well, because right now it's working very fast, and I want to give it a little delay of about 1.5 seconds. So here we go.
Also for both directions.
And now you see it's coming out slowlier, and then you can turn on the motor on the second step. So you see here, switch plus 100%, motor on, up and go out. Center position is motor out, but up and go, no, motor off, but up and go out of the fuselage. And minus 100% is up and go inside the fuselage. So this would be the basic functionality of the up and go. And now we want to combine it with the butterfly. So I have the butterfly on the left stick. So we just will turn the camera a little bit more. Oh, yeah. It's okay, I think. And we will keep going on with this, and the way how to do this is we will use the limiter function, like we already learned about it for the motor safety switch, and we will cross limit the butterfly function and the up and go also with the motor with each other. So when the motor is out, the butterfly is limited, and also with the butterfly stick I will limit the up and go function. So on the first step we create a limiter for the butterfly function. We create a new limiter by pressing the plus, then going to the setup, and the function I want to limit is the butterfly. And now you see here the curve of the butterfly and also the control. And I take it out. Here you see the curve moving and all the values. And I want to limit the butterfly to 0%. So it stays in neutral position. So I need to limit it from below. And I want to limit it with the switch of the up and go. So I go here, limit below, and choose the up and go switch. So here we go. And when the up and go is out and the motor is on, I want to limit the butterfly to 0. So you see here the red area marking, and when I now use the butterfly stick, you see here it's getting less, and also the crosshair is moving, but the butterfly stays on 0 position, and when I open the switch it remains working due to the value here, minus 100%. There is no more limit on the butterfly, and when it's completely inside, it's also minus 100%. I also can change it that the butterfly is no more working when the up and go is already out. Just use here the limit, put it to 0, and now you see up and go out. No more butterfly function, and only when the up and go is in, the butterfly is working. And now I use the motor control switch, up and go control switch, taking out up and go, no more butterfly, turning on the motor, going up. But what is missing now? I want to control now the power of the motor with the stick of the butterfly. And for this I will create a second limiter. So, and not to mix them up, we will give them a name. The first one was the limiter for butterfly off, and the second limiter we will call power control. Here we go, and we go to the setup again, and we choose function up and go plus motor. So you see here now up and go plus motor is working 100%. Now motor is off. Now up and go is in, and I want to limit this with the butterfly stick. So I go here and limit it from above now, because I want to control the motor power in this area up here, and choosing the control by simply moving it, and you see here limit above, stick in upper position 100%, stick in middle position I want to have plus 50, and stick in lower position I want to have 0, And now you see the red area up here moving according to the position of my butterfly stick. So I have it somewhere around here. Just for an example, the plane is on the ground. I want to start, so I take out the up and go. The butterfly is limited to 0, like you see. Now I take the butterfly stick to idle position. Then I use the up and go switch, bring it to the forward position. You see here it jumps to 100%, but the motor remains off due to the limiter we have here. And now I can slowly control the power of the motor. You see the light is going on slowly, and also I can reduce the power again. And that's all what you need for combining up and go on the butterfly stick or throttle stick. And now when you're up in the air, you're still flying full throttle, you want to stop the motor, you just use the switch here, bring it to 0 position, the motor turns off. You also see the crosshair moving, and then you bring in the up and go, and you can use your butterfly like usual. And during flight you keep the stick in total front position, take out the up and go, turn on the motor, and everything is fine. So far,
are there any questions to this point? Yeah, it's a little bit fast, but when you go through this step by step, it's very easy.
Yes, and the recording is okay, and you can watch it 100 times.
Yes.
So, but as there are no more questions according to this, we will go on with the next step. So we did all the basic setup of the model, and we saw differential and how to influence it. We made a up and go retract, working with a 3-position switch, and then also combining it with the butterfly stick to control the throttle or the power of the motor. And now we will start flight modes or the flight mode setup. The main thing you will use different flight modes on gliders is to have different flap positions to adapt your airplane to different flight speeds or flight attitudes like thermal soaring, slope soaring, distance flight, landing, whatever. And therefore we go back one step in time. Probably you remember this. A few weeks ago we were adjusting the flap function, and I just will redo this once shortly because this is the main thing what we do here. So at first I assign a control for the flaps, and on the next step I use this control to equalize all the surfaces on my flap function.
I think we can take this one out of the picture.
Yeah, we can take this one out of the picture. Move the camera a little bit so you can see the whole wing. And I go to completely downwards position, and I realize, okay, the right side has the wrong direction. And
perhaps this is a little bit better.
Here we will see, I think from the trailing edge you can see the small movements better. So now here we have everything in the same direction, and the inner ones need to have less deflection. So here we go. So, and the inner right one also needs less deflection. Not so less. This is looking good. And the outer one. So, downwards direction is all the same. The same we do for the upwards direction. Adjusting here. And the outer right one also needs to be reduced. So now we have synchronized or equalized the flaps here on the slider. And when I go for the flight mode setting, I will just take out the slider here, because later on we will do the flap setting with the flight modes and the flight mode offset. So on the first step, I go again to the control assignment and just click somewhere in the gray background, and the control disappears. And now I can move the control again freely, and it's no more linked to the flap function and the servos. And I start creating my flight modes. And therefore we see here flight mode normal. You can set up a fade-in time. We will use 0.5 seconds for an example. You also can choose functions with no fade-in. So when you, for example, have the tow release directly linked to the flight modes, it could be good when you have a long fading time, like 2 or 3 seconds, to have the tow release with no fade-in. But here we just create 2 flight modes. One we will call the thermal flight mode, and the second one we will call the speed flight mode. And then we go to the flight mode assignment. This is a big graphic view, but it shows in a very good way what is happening. So here you see the switches. There are master switches which have a single switch bringing the flight mode to one level, and we have the combination switches which fulfill this logic down here. And the basic way is you can imagine these switches controlling here switches like for a train on the track coming from the top side, moving slowly down here, and like the switches are telling the train is moving to the station here, and that's the flight mode you are in. And so for the first step, we will go here for the first switch to assign the speed mode, and here we go down, select via switching, and we want to use this one in this position, and here we go. This would be my thermal flight mode. So when this switch is closed here, I'm in the first line, I'm in thermal flight mode. And when I open the switch, so it's not in down position but middle or top position, you see it opens here and it goes to the next line where there is right now the normal flight mode. And one step further, I will go here and choose the same switch again, but now on the different direction. So we have it on the very top side, and this is going to be activated right now, my speed flight mode. So you see here, switch in upper position, we have the speed flight mode, then switch in middle position, so it's not here and not there. We are in the third line, we are in normal flight mode, and when I bring the switch to the backwards position, we are here, we are on the first line, we are in thermal flight mode. So for the flight mode assignment, this is all you need to do, and now you can adjust all the settings and the values according to the flight modes, and you can just remember as a hint all the values shown underlined. For example here, flight mode offset are done flight mode based, so you have to adjust it for every flight mode. And now we are here in thermal flight mode, and I want to have my flaps down a little bit, so I go to the flight mode offset and adjust it. And you see here the flaps moving downwards, and so here now
perhaps not so fast. Just go back to the front line, to the first line where you see the thermal.
Yeah, there here is the thermal flight mode, and I was adjusting the flight mode offset now according to thermal. Now I move my flight mode switch, I'm back to normal, and
as you see in the first line,
the flight mode offset is also 0, and then we go to the speed flight mode. You see here it changes to speed, and I also want to adjust the speed flap setting, wrong direction, right direction, going upwards a little bit. So like this, now we have the speed flight mode, switch in the middle is the normal flight mode, and switch downwards is the, rather
you can show it again
closer, showing here, so this is thermal, we have normal, and we have speed, so speed is just going up a little bit, but it's okay. And like I already said, all the values underlined are based on flight modes. So now I can do further setup. For example, in speed flight mode, I want to have less elevator just to avoid high speed stall. So I choose the speed flight mode. So you see again in the top line, you see the speed flight mode appearing, and I change the flex rate to 80%. You see the curve is a little bit angled, it's no more going to plus 100, and when I now go back to normal, you see normal again, and the curve is changing, and also the flex rate value is changing to plus 100 again. And for example, for thermaling, I want to have a little bit of expo on the elevator, then I adjust the expo here, 25% for example. Now in thermal, 100% rate, 25% expo. In normal, 0% expo, 100% rate, and in speed, 80% rate, 0% expo. And so you can change all the values that are underlined in every flight mode, and keep in mind you also have to change them everywhere. Also for this setup there is an overview You can switch the menu here from the function line view to the overview. So you see all the main values of the functions. So you see rudder, rate, expo, differential, flight mode, offset, aileron, the same. And you see down here we had our butterfly adjusted 80% in speed, 100% and 0 in normal, and 25% expo and 100% rate in thermal. And you can also change the differential here for the ailerons, whatever you want. So far for this. One thing that is also based on flight modes.
Perhaps one question, when you see the overview, perhaps it could be a question from one of our pilots. So when you see the overview, you can also change all the values in this overview.
Yes, the overview here is also for changing. For example, in speed flight mode, I want to have also less rate on the rudder. I can reduce it here 80% as well, and going back to normal 100 again. So the overview is just for fast setup when you know, okay, for this I need to adjust all the rates and all the expos for each flight mode. Then the overview is helping a lot.
And you can do this directly here. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, that's very useful, Norman. You're right. Yeah, one more thing you can change according to flight modes is the curve of a function, and I want to show this here on the example of the butterfly curve. Just as an example, you go here for the curve editor and you see the curve here like usual, and you have those two symbols here, and the white highlighted is always the active one. So right now we are in global state, which means the curve here is all the same for all the flight modes. So when I add a point somewhere here in between and change the curve and save it and switch through the flight modes, the curve always stays the same. And when I toggle the button here to the not global symbol, so you see here, this is highlighted. Now I can change the curve for every flight mode. So for example here in the speed mode,
you mean for every single flight mode?
Yeah, for every single flight mode. So for example in the speed mode I want to avoid using full butterfly to avoid high force on the plane. I select the lowest point here and bring it to a level of this and save it. And now I can switch through the flight modes. You see in normal we have the curve like before, in thermal as well, and when switching to speed we have the reduced curve, and also you see the butterfly. It's not working at all because the up and go. Here we go with the up and go. The up and go is still out, so taking in the up and go will make the butterfly working. Yeah, now you see butterfly is working half of the way on speed mode and full deflection on normal and thermal. You have to be a little bit careful with this toggling buttons, because when you now go back to global, the curve you see, or the flight mode that is active at the moment you toggle the buttons, will override all the other curves. So I go back to global settings And when now switching to speed, you see the old curve again, because I toggled back to global mode. And when I now adjust the curve again, it's the same for every flight mode, so normal and thermal. Yeah, so far for editing the curves.
Are there any questions at this point? Changing the flight modes or adjusting the flight modes with the servo curves. Okay. So you did a very good job.
Yeah, or they're all sleeping.
Yeah, okay. Both is possible. No, I think it's very clear.
Yeah, so far for the curve setup according to the flight modes, and so far so good. I think we did a lot today. We were looking at the basic setup of our caldera once more. We were bringing in up and go functionality with one servo for the up and go and different motor controller on a 3-position switch in the first step. So from -100 to 0 there was the up and go coming out. Up and go in view again.
Yes.
So up and go out on the first step, and on the second step there was motor on, and then we combined this on the butterfly stick so we could control the power of the motor with the butterfly stick, and when the up and go was out and when the up and go was in, there was still the butterfly function remaining, and we realized this with the cross limiting from the up and go switch to the butterfly function and the butterfly stick to the motor function or up and go function. And then we were looking again on the mixer values and the flap positions, and then setting up the flight modes. So we have 3 different flight modes now. You see them here on the flight modes. Just by creating them, we did the flight mode assignment according to the switch, and then we were going back to our functions and changing the values for the flight modes according to the requirements in each flight mode. So, are there any further questions to this point right now?
Okay, otherwise I would say that we could finish the workshop, but we are still available, and we will also answer all the questions. It's just for our recording that we will wish you a nice evening and say thank you for your attention. Then we will stop the official part. Okay.
Yes, stop the official part like ever, but still be here for further questions or start practicing with Jackie.
Yeah, if you have any further questions, we are still online. We answering all your questions that you have. But now we say thank you for your attention and have a nice evening.
Yes, also from my side, thanks a lot and have a nice evening.
Weatronic.